Despite the huge public and private contracts, Carillion was £900 million in debt, with a £590 million pension deficit. And it's emerged today only had £29 million of cash left in the bank when it went into liquidation. In the Commons today, the Labour leader suggested the government was negligent and must have known that the company was in trouble.
Mr. Speaker, I asked the government if they'd been negligent or not, and they clearly have been very negligent.
The Right Honourable Gentleman said earlier in one of his questions it was the government's job to ensure that Carillion was properly managed. We were a customer of Carillion, not the manager of Carillion. If it was the case that the government pulled out of contracts, or indeed private sector companies pulled out of contracts whenever a profit warning was issued, that would be the best way to ensure that companies failed and jobs were lost.
But Labour politicians insist each profit warning should have raised an automatic red flag within Whitehall, and this warning was either missed, ignored or overruled.
If you have a profit warning, that company is deemed as high risk and you shouldn't be giving them additional contracts. That's in government guidance, and they set it aside. And Theresa May did not tell us today why.
The Prime Minister said Carillion's public sector workers should turn up to work confident they will continue to be paid. The finance for that backed by the government. The Insolvency Service says 90% of private sector workers will also complete their contracts. But companies like Floratech, mentioned in the Commons today, have had to lay off workers, in their case because they're owed £1 million by Carillion. Labour argues the chaos of this collapse offers proof that private firms are running a racket in the public sector. The government disagrees.
I don't think government should suddenly start to create a giant construction firm of its own and to build its own mega projects. I mean, nobody does that anywhere in the world.
The Insolvency Service has confirmed that bonus payments to Carillion's directors and former executives have been halted. Sky News understands this would include the £660,000 plus benefits due to be paid to former chief executive Richard Howson this year, even though he left the company last autumn. The boardroom, though, is one thing. What happens to hundreds of multi-million-pound contracts and the thousands of dependent jobs on them still has to be sorted out. Jason Farrell, Sky News.